So throughout the entire trip on Everest Base Camp, we'll be staying in tea houses. So we don't stay in tents or anything like that throughout this trip. Tea houses are basically local accommodation. They are usually family run, and they have very simple rooms. The higher we go, the simpler they become. So in the earlier days, lower down on the trail, the accommodation is a bit more fancy. But as we go up, it starts to become more and more basic as we get into more and more remote areas. The accommodation is usually has rooms. So these would be private rooms, that we would share as team members. Sometimes, especially in the lower altitude areas, it would be 2 by 2. But as we get up into higher altitude, it may be more than that. Sometimes 4 people to a room, sometimes 3. And, the toilets in the tea houses are usually shared. In some instances, you do have your own toilet in your own room, lower down on the mountain, but as we get higher up, they become shared for everybody who's in the tea house. And then the tea house also has a restaurant, which we use for dinner and for breakfast. And we will also be stopping at tea houses along the way for tea breaks and for lunch as well. So we always have, tea houses are a central feature of the trail. Tea houses also have a common area where we can sit and meet together and have that kind of community vibe as well. So that's basically what the accommodation is like. The beds they usually have, it's a mattress. Normally they provide a pillow. You've got these duvet covers, but they're not enough. So you must have a good sleeping bag, because especially as we get higher up in the mountains, sleeping bags are essential to stay warm. The charging situation is normally quite straightforward on Everest Base Camp. In the lower altitude tea houses, you can charge your phones or whatever electronics you have in your rooms. As we get higher up, there are less opportunities to charge, and normally there are charging stations in the common area. Depending on the tea house and how high we are, the tea houses will start to charge at one point for using your equipment. What we normally suggest you do is bring power banks and charge the power banks, and then charge everything that you need from the power banks. This way you can leave the power banks at a charging station and charge it to full. Normally they charge around, the tea houses will price a full charged battery at around 200 to 300 rupees, depending on where we are on the trail. Of course, the higher up, the more expensive it gets, because they're using their solar energy. And then you can just charge whatever electronics you have. So I would say a big power bank, or a good solid power bank that can give you 4 or 5 charges would be a good thing to invest in for this trip. In the lower altitude areas of the mountain, you have cell phone reception. So we get good reception up until, I would say, just before Dingboche. So that would be around day 7 on the trail. So before that, you have pretty good cell reception. After that, there is no cell phone reception whatsoever. So we rely on Wi-Fi. There is something called the Everest Link. So it's basically a scratch card that has a certain number of gigabytes that you can buy. And then using that, you can log on to Wi-Fi at any tea house, whether it's the tea house that we're staying at or it's a tea house, that we're stopping at for tea. They all use Everest Link. And then you can it's a scratch card, you use it, and you can always have access to Wi-Fi when you're at the tea houses. Now, you can't always rely on it, though, especially after the Buche and towards Gorakshep, because over there, the actual receivers rely on solar, and once the sun goes down and there's a lot of pressure on the network, it doesn't tend to work anymore. So during daylight hours, it's pretty reliable. After daylight hours, not really. For Everest Base Camp, that basically means you might lose reception or not always be connected, at least, for about 4 to 5 days of the overall experience. But usually the Wi-Fi is quite reliable and you can use it throughout. The Everest Link is available from Lukla, so the very first day on the trail, all the way up to Gorakshep where we stay, and then all the way back down. So you don't have to bring a a local SIM if you don't want to. If you're happy to just connect to the Wi-Fi at the different tea houses and purchase the Everest link, then you're very welcome to do so. And probably that's more desirable. This way your phone's not pinging all the way up.